Hello everybody, it is Ashley Fields with Yard or Us, and we are going to be painting our Patriotic Truck today. There is your finished look at where we are going to take this piece that we have right here in front of us. So I am going to get this shared everywhere. Hi Pam, how are you doing, babe? Good to see you. I know you guys have been waiting for this. Why does this never want to work when I want it to work? You guys have been waiting on this tutorial, and I can't seem to get it to want to share the right place. I don't know. Those of you who do live videos, I don't know how you guys can get your technology to work with you, because mine never seems to want to work. I'm also having Wi-Fi issues today, so if I start cutting out, you guys just let me know. I usually use my portable Wi-Fi, but I could not get it to work today, so I'm using my house Wi-Fi, which usually ends up being a mess. So y'all let me know if Wi-Fi is cutting out, if anything's cutting out. But hello, thank you for being here, Debbie, Mary, Pam. Good to see you guys. Hope everybody's doing good. Thanks, Debbie. Yeah, I was trying to share. Can't get it to share. Marthlin, how are you, babe? All right, y'all. The only thing I did do differently is on my sample behind me, I had a white background. However, on this one, I just did gray. And then while that paint was wet, I actually took a little bit of white on that paintbrush and just kind of lightly stroked it across. So I did leave, I also did the mirrors gray, and what we're gonna do is we are gonna take our fan brush, and we're just gonna add a touch of white to that. So I'm gonna just kind of, get literally just the tiniest little amount, and I'm gonna just streak it on here. Nothing too crazy. I just want it to kind of tie in with the background that I have right here. But just kind of lightly streaking it in there, and it's all good. Pam, I'm doing good, hon. I'm so glad to be here. I know I have not been live as much lately, y'all. I've had a lot going on, but I'm glad to be here today. Okay, y'all, obviously we're gonna have a lot of shading to get to, so I'm gonna go ahead and just hop right into it. We have our little roses here. I'm gonna go ahead and get those done. I have on the base coat, I started with one coat of white, and then I kind of came in and just added all my colors on top of that. So these roses, I have, I think these are sky blue and light purple. So on my sky blue, I am going to shade with some teal. If I can get this open. Y'all, anytime I'm shading, I do, and I'm using these cups, I always use these cups because I add a little bit of water to them, and then that way I'm not watering down all the paint that I use. I just need to kind of just add a little bit of water just to kind of thin out that paint a little bit. And the reason that I do that is because I find it to be helpful with getting my brush to glide and do longer strokes. So this is just a number 12 flat tip brush. We refer to it as a shader, and I'm loading on one corner only. So obviously on these ones that are sky blue, I am just bringing that brush in and pretty much just following it around. Nice and simple, not too much. On these flowers, because they're not very big, it might even be easier just to not put a whole lot of paint on your brush. If you keep that paint on the lighter side, it might be a little bit easier for you. And then me, I just do not do good at full circles, so I usually have to make a circle into 2 strokes whenever I am doing shading. So I'm just kind of loading up that side that has the paint in it. I'm taking that side and putting it up against that line and taking it on the outside. Just gonna keep on doing that with all of my sky blue roses or flowers. See, I'm getting a couple little drips. Okay, so we got those done. We are done with the teal. I'm gonna bring this water a little closer to me. This piece is kind of bigger. I don't have the size on here. I want to say you're looking at about 23 inches wide and somewhere around 32 inches tall. I did put a link in the description for the blank, so if you're interested in that, you can just click on that link, and that link will also tell you the exact dimensions. But this guy is a little bit bigger, so I don't have as much room on my table, so I'm kind of having to work around. All right, now light purple, I'm gonna kind of just continue with that same exact thing I just did with my teal over that sky blue, and I'm gonna do the same exact thing with my purple. Hello everybody, as you hop in, say hello, let me know that you're here. I'm so glad to see y'all. We have been working on blanks for June as well as Christmas blanks, because every July we do Christmas in July. And so I've been making sheets that I need to actually get cut out this weekend. Lots and lots and lots of fun projects will be coming soon. So kind of pulled some of that paint in the middle when I did not intend to. So I hope you guys stay tuned. We'll be releasing a lot of new patterns and doing some sneak peeks here coming up. And I think you guys will really enjoy the things that we have come up with. I know also people have been asking for interchangeable trucks and gnomes, and we are going to be doing both of those. So lots and lots of fun stuff. Alrighty, just kind of finishing this out, taking that brush, still using that number 12. I'm kept that same exact brush. And y'all, whenever I go over these lines, which I tend to do a lot, no worries. While it's wet, just wipe it right back off and you'll be just fine. These flowers, if you're somebody who's good at blending, these flowers would be really cute with a little bit of blending on them too. All right, they look kind of funky right now, but by the time we get some outline on them, they're gonna be just fine. Hey Christy, how are you doing, babe? Good to see you. Mary Kay. No, I can't see the, hey Carla, how are you? I didn't even see you here. Hey Jennifer, good to see you. Yay, I'm so glad y'all are coming to hang out with me. I love it. Let's see, Mary says, going live after I get done with this. She's gonna go live on our regular store page, so just regular yard dress page, and she's painting interchangeable truck door hanger that we are going to be having a paint party with. I think it's June 19th, if I am not mistaken. Maybe Mary could correct me if I am incorrect on that. Okay, y'all, now we are going to start working kind of here in that center. I used brilliant blue on all the patriotic stuff. I could have used navy blue, but I like to use that brilliant so that I can shade with navy. And then it keeps it from getting too dark. So I actually outlined with this navy earlier, so I already know it's too thin. Because when I shade, I add a little bit of water, and then when I outline, I add even more water. So if I'm switching and I'm going back from outlining to shading, I always have to add a little bit more paint to kind of thicken it up a little bit. Hi Joyce, how are you doing? Jennifer says, I've been lost for a while, but I'm back now. Yay, Jennifer, you're back just in time. We have, seriously, lots and lots and lots of stuff coming out. We're gonna have a ton of lives in June and July, like a lot. And so I hope you guys will stick around and hang out and see all the fun stuff that we've come up with. Christy says, why are the parties when I'm always out of town? I don't know, girl. Hopefully one of these days you'll be in town. You do seem like such a busy lady though, so I know you always got stuff going on. All right, y'all, I'm just trying to kind of getting that thickened up a little bit. It might still be too thin, we'll see. Again, I'm still using that number 12. I'm still just loading one corner. All of these lines, there's a lot of lines on here, but you don't really have a lot of surface area. So I don't want to grab a big brush because then it's gonna kind of overtake the colors that are underneath. So I'm really trying to stick with a smaller brush. So all those parts that have brilliant blue, I am just shading them in with a little bit of navy blue. Now when it comes to like your stripes and stuff, if like these stripes right here, they're really thin, so I tilt that brush sideways and just do a really, 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 really thin line. But if you are somebody who struggles to make thin lines with shading, you don't even really have to shade those because it's such a small area that, you know, you really don't see it that much. The difference between having it shaded and not having it shaded. I'm just gonna do that right there. Okay, all my brilliant blue is shaded with that navy blue. So I can cap this and clean this brush back out. I don't know why you're doing that. Yeah, Debbie says, because you're always out of town, Christy. See, yeah, you're always doing stuff. But I know you've got kiddos and sports and all sorts of stuff, so I'm sure that just happens, part of it. All right, y'all, cleaning that brush right back out. Now, while we're here, I'm trying to think, I'm gonna go ahead and get this red, the red shaded, and for red, I'm gonna use shading red. If you don't have shading red, it's just red mixed with a little bit of black. And you can honestly make it as light or as dark as you want. I kind of prefer almost a lighter shading red as opposed to a darker shading red. So sometimes I mix the shading red for us at the store, and sometimes, you know, I'll mix it, I'm like, ooh, that's a little much, a little too dark, and then I just add a little bit more red into it. Now, when it comes to the flag, my stripes are too thin. I'm not gonna try to shade it because that red is gonna turn very dark, and it's not gonna look good when we get done. So flag, the stripes on the flag, leave them alone. Just outline only on there. And just come up here on my rocket. Y'all, on the sample behind me and the sample that is online, I think the top of this rocket's white. I just, you know, changed it up just a little bit. No big deal. You can do it whatever way you want to do it. I just kind of liked it to be more red and blue, kind of coming up here into my flag. All right, so I got the red done right here. All I got left to do is just my taillights. Now this one's almost coming right back off. It's not, it is the lighter kind of version, so it's not showing up as dark. I don't know if you guys could even really see that. It is going on a little lighter. It will dry a little bit darker, but I'm really not that worried about it. I think it'll be just fine. Sure, there we go. Same thing, kind of just following that perimeter, bringing that brush around. And wrap it on up like that. Okay, so it is a little lighter, but I do have that shading red on there, on my red. All right, now I'm gonna cap this. I'm trying to think if I need to use a smaller brush for the inside of my stars and the firecracker. I might just, what's that? That one's a 12. See, I got a lot of 12s. I think I need a 10. And of course I don't have any 10s, so I guess 12 it is. That's what we're gonna use. Connie says, I love this. Thank you, Connie. Oh, Debbie says that her and Joyce signed up for the paint class. Awesome, how fun. You guys are gonna love it. Y'all will love it. All right, just washing that brush out. Now I have yellow down right here. In fact, that yellow, I added a little bit of white to it because I got some of the blue and that gray over top of it. And yellow does not cover very well. So if you're ever using yellow and you're trying to put yellow on top of anything other than white and you're struggling, my advice, paint it white and then put your yellow, or add a little bit of white to your yellow. And that's kind of what I did. So again, y'all, this is a very small area. I'm just trying to just get a little tiny bit on that brush. I don't want very much because this area is small. If I had a smaller brush, I would use it, but I don't seem to have one. Got a little too much paint up here at the top, so I'm just trying to kind of smooth it out. And then anywhere that I kind of went outside the line where I didn't want to go outside the line, no worries. I just wipe it right up. Notice as well, y'all, I'm starting on the firecrackers because I have the smallest kind of area between all these little, what do you even call these? All these little triangles. And so since it's such a small area, I want to do that first before that paint and my brush kind of ends up getting all the way across those bristles. So do your smaller stuff and then go into your bigger stuff. So now I've got these 3 stars left. I'm gonna do the smallest one first before I get to this biggest one. If I do that biggest one first, for me, I find that I get a lot more paint all the way across my brush. And then when I go to do smaller areas, it just kind of overtakes everything. If you are, or again, like if your shading is maybe not as thin as you would like it to be, you could even just use a script liner and pull in some shading yellow with your script liner. The good thing about painting is it's whatever works for you is just fine. There is no one way to get the end result that you want. There's lots and lots of ways. I'm just really trying to smooth that out now because it's kind of looking a little funky, y'all. Oh well. All right, so my yellow is done. I'm going to wash that paintbrush back out. See, y'all are talking over here. Yeah, y'all definitely have some loud fun. Jennifer says, Ashley, how long does it take approximately to paint this truck start to finish? Jennifer, it depends on how fast of a painter you are. I would say base coating, it probably took me 30-45 minutes before I even got live. And then, you know, the time I am live, say I'm live an hour. If I wasn't live, I could finish it a lot faster because I'm not, you know, talking as much, or I'm not talking at all. But I would say, you know, an hour and a half to 2 hours for me, max. Everybody's different though, you know. Connie says, hey Jennifer, how are you doing? Good question. Yes, yes, yes. All right, y'all, let's get our leaves done. I used lime green on the leaves, and I like to use, I've been using a lot of Christmas green to shade lime green. It's just not as dark as that dark green that I usually would use. And so I've just really, really been enjoying using a little Christmas on here. Same thing, same brush, same everything. I don't know how on that truck behind me, on my sample behind me, let me grab a napkin. I got those lines really, really thin. I'm thinking, whoa, almost lost you guys. I'm thinking I had a different brush, y'all. I'm trying to, maybe I used one of these. Sorry guys, I knocked us over. Try to get it back now where it's supposed to be. Okay, I'm gonna try to use this one. This is a number 10. Maybe this is the one I used. I knew I needed something smaller. Y'all look at this shading right here, or right here. It's a little bit too, my stroke is a little too wide. It's overpowering that leaf. So anytime you're doing that, you see that, that's okay. Throw your brush in the water and grab you a smaller one. It happens. See, this one's a lot better. That stroke is not overpowering that entire leaf, because your shading is really just supposed to be a complement. You definitely don't want it overtaking. Much, much better. I don't typically use this brush because this is actually one of my daughter's brushes. It's like a craft brush as opposed to a fine arts brush. And so sometimes I can, you know, get some decent craft brushes that I can use. But for the most part, me personally, I do prefer fine art brushes because I just feel like they're a little softer. They, you know, they work a little bit easier when it comes to gliding and getting the paint on. But also there's a different, you know, we use semi-gloss paint. If you use flat, if you use like a flat sheen, the craft brushes work pretty good with that. Semi-gloss, I find that sometimes not so much. All right, so I just kind of stuck around that outside. Each leaf has like a little line in the middle. I didn't even bother trying to get shading on that because I didn't want it to all become Christmas green. I wanted you to be able to see that lime. Okay, I got the leaves and flowers done. Let's, we're gonna get a little bit of, I used brilliant blue. I used brilliant blue inside of the white parts of my firecracker for just a little touch of shading. You don't have to shade inside of them. If you just want to leave it white, that, you know, you always could. But I did add just a little bit of brilliant blue. So I'm going to still use that number 10. Still just loading that corner. I like that brilliant blue on here. I think it's really pretty. Pulling some of that green out of that flower accidentally. This is how my shirts get so much paint on them, y'all. I literally just wipe everything on my shirt. It's become such a habit over the years. And then I'll come in just right here. Just a little bit. Not much. Now, I'm going to put this brush up. This brush is the number 10. It's way too small. I'm going to still use this brilliant blue to shade my medium blue. That's my color that I have on my truck. So I'm actually going to grab a bigger brush. I'm going to use a number 16. I would honestly prefer probably a 14, but I know for a fact I don't have a 14. So if I feel like that 16 is a little too big, I kind of just try to turn it sideways. Or just make sure I keep it loaded only on the corner. So whenever I'm shading, y'all, I'm really just following whatever lines are there. And following the perimeter of my piece as well. Kind of says, love this blue. Yes, y'all, there's so many different blue options. You know, you could go with a darker truck. You could do a navy blue truck would be really, really pretty. But for me, I just didn't want to go that dark. I think also a gray truck could look really good as well and be a good contrast for all these colors that we do have on here. Y'all, when I'm shading, I kind of started right there and drug that line across. I'm not going to start right there to bring it down. I'm going to kind of start further on down and go up into my previous stroke. That makes your lines look a lot smoother. So when you run out of paint, go down a little further before you start bringing that up. Bringing a little green streaks up here from that leaf. Okay. Now I'm just going to take what's left in that brush. Just very lightly give it a couple swipes. Let me turn it around. Same thing down here. This is that thing I love about these bigger brushes is you can get really long strokes out of them. Much more fluid strokes because that brush can hold a lot more paint. Alright, and then I'm just going to kind of, again, I'm not loading that brush. I'm just going to take what I already have in there, do a few little swipes. Boop. Now, if you wanted to, you could, I don't think I did not. You could put some swipes like here in that middle of your tailgate. You know, you could just come in here and add a few. I don't typically do that personally, you know, but always an option. All right, so that medium blue on my truck is done. I shaded that with brilliant blue. I'm going to put that brush in the water. The only thing I have left to shade is this gray down here. So this is your regular gray. I am going to shade it with what I refer to as shading gray, which is really just your regular gray with some black added in. We don't sell this color, y'all. This is just, I do it by hand. It's just hand mixed. If you don't have gray at home, you can make gray. You can make a darker gray with just white and black. So that's all that this is. It's just a combination of, it's my gray with a little bit of black, but you could also just obviously do it with white and black. So I think this brush is also a number 12. It's just an older number 12, so it's a little bit more fanned out. We all know how I love my older brushes. They are definitely my favorite because they're, first off, I'm used to them, but they're also broken in for me, so I know exactly how they're gonna lay down. All right, now I'm just gonna, again, take that remnants that's left in my brush and just very gently put a couple of swipes across there. All right, let me, just look over again. I think I'm good. I'm good on my shading. So now we can move on to outlining. Let me move that. Now I'm gonna have to hit this with a blow dryer just for, I don't know, maybe 30 seconds to a minute before we can get started. Especially right here, I'm gonna use a star stamp sponge, wherever it is. Right here. I got this on Amazon. It actually came in like a pack of, I think 20 or 30 of them, different ones. And I literally bought the pack just to get the star. Because it's hard to find a small star sponge. I haven't been able to have any luck. And this is a small area. And I tried to actually do some hand-painted stars with a script liner, which you can do. But it just didn't look as, I just didn't care for it. I actually like the sponge kind of look. So if you're somebody who likes the sponge kind of look, Amazon, it's like a kid's dauber, sponge dauber, artsy craft kind of thing. If that'll be enough, who knows. Let me grab this plate. As y'all can see, this plate's been used a million times. I'm gonna grab a little bit of white. Let's get those stars put onto our flag. Now, I will say this, I don't care for this sponge very much. It's like you know those bath toys that babies use, the ones that don't soak in any water, and you know, they're very easy to pull out of the water, and you know, don't make a big mess because they don't hold a lot in there. It's kind of like that type of material, and so whenever you're using this with paint, it will slide if you're not careful. So I kind of just really throw one here in the center and go directly up. That did not look good, y'all. Try that one again. Still not looking that great. We're gonna make do. It ain't perfect, but we'll make do. And now I kind of got that one in the center, and now all the rest of them, I'm gonna have them kind of coming off. And then anytime that I have that paint kind of getting off of that color, or off of that flag, I just wipe it off. I also got a little bit of blue on there because that blue was not fully dry. So obviously you're not going to be able to get 50 stars on this teeny tiny truck, and I'm not even, you know, going to attempt it. So I just really as long as you can have a couple on there, I think everybody gets the idea that it's an American flag. Maybe try to get just a little bit right there. Good enough for me, y'all. Not perfect, but it'll do. So I'm gonna put that sponge in the water, and now we can get started with outline. Let me grab my script liner. This is just your regular, it's a Royal Gold number 4. Y'all, I've been using this one for probably 2 months, and you can see it's starting to get a little bend to it. Starting to get broken in. I did throw away that old brush that was really, really bent. Eventually this one will become like my old one and get really, really bent. So I'm gonna actually turn this sideways. Let's kind of start here in that middle, since that's where we first started our shading. That's gonna end up being the driest. So this is my black paint, and it's already watered down. I know I've showed you guys this before, but let me try to see how it's dripping. That's me personally, how I like my paint to be when I'm using my script liner. Everybody's different. If you can do it with the thicker paint, you know, more power to you, that's fantastic. I struggle when the paint's too thick to get the kind of motion that I'm wanting to get out of my brush. I might even need to, let me see. I'm going to play with it just a little bit. I might need to trade this brush out and just get one that's not as broken in so I can get thinner lines out of it. That is kind of the bad part about a brush as it ages and as you use it a lot. It will start getting kind of thicker strokes out of it, which is good for a lot of things, but it's not good for smaller detailed areas. I think I can make this one work. Not perfect, but we'll make do. Notice how every time I almost pick up this brush and I'm loading more on here, I go right back to my cup and I get more in there. Okay, I'm not really liking that brush very much. Let me see if I got a thinner one or a newer one. We'll try a different one. But sometimes, no, that one don't feel, you know, I might need to go get me a couple newer brushes. Let me see about this. This one's a different brand. I typically don't like this brand as much, but we'll see. Definitely gonna get thinner strokes out of it. Still not liking this brush. Let me try one more, y'all. I might just end up having to use that thicker one. Let's see this one. Do y'all ever do that? Y'all have so many different brushes that you're like, oh, I don't like that look. Oh, put it in the water. Oh, okay, grab your another one. I don't like that one either. Okay, put it in the water. That's kind of how I'm feeling today. I was actually painting some of the peace gnomes earlier. I had some cut out here that are the bigger ones for me to paint to sell. And when I was working on the beard, I was noticing how my script liner was getting really, really fanned out. Debbie. Debbie, I'm saying I need a new brush because mine are fanned out too much. I don't need an old one. I used to go to my mom's and take her old brushes, because especially when I was new to painting and really getting into it as like a career, you know, I really needed my stuff to look good, and the breaking in of brushes just really takes time. And at that time in my life, I didn't know how to do all that. Like I wasn't very comfortable with trying to venture out and use new stuff. I wanted the old worn out brushes. So yes, I would go and take those from my mom's house. And she likes to say that I never would tell her that I was taking those brushes, but y'all, I would tell her. I would ask her and she would let me have them. And don't let her tell you otherwise. No, I'm using black. I liked black on this truck. You could use navy blue, but I am using black. There's this, honestly, y'all, it's painting. There's so many different ways that you could do this. There's different colors that you could use, different brushes, different everything. So if you don't care for the black, you could always, you know, do a navy. Me personally, I think because this truck has so much blue on it, I like that black to kind of be able to really cut those lines and have a good definition on those lines. I think after I get done with these roses, I am going to switch back to my other brush. This one is not near as good. I think that looks good. I am gonna just turn it around. Whoa, I need to hide that, move that cup. That glass will definitely end up breaking on me. I'm gonna turn around and do this side for those roses. Trying to make sure I stay in the frame. Let's see, are we talking trash about me over here, Mom? When we get older, we get fluffy. Brushes do too, yes. Oh, okay, so no. Could not tell, yeah, okay. I didn't know if you were talking about me stealing brushes. Yeah, I'm just using some black. depending on your brush too, like some of my brushes, it'll make that black almost look like a dark gray. This one is, I love this pattern. It does take a little while to outline. Because obviously you've just got a lot of lines on here. It's kind of just a lot of ground to cover. And I have a heavy hand, so I kind of struggle with these smaller areas just because I'm so used to, you know, bearing down and using a lot of pressure to get thicker lines. My mom has a heavy hand and she's the one that taught me, so you know, I have a heavy hand too. All right, I'm going back to my original brush because it's my favorite at the moment. Those lines are just a little small. Still, it's a Royal Gold number 4, y'all. I have like literally 4 or 5 of the same exact brushes, and I pick up different ones for different kind of widths. Though they're all the same brush, some of them have been a lot more broken in than others. Some of them are almost more dried out than others. Kind of just depends. That one a little wide, no worries, I just literally wipe it right back off. Okay, I think that's looking good. When it comes to the yellow, I am not touching my yellow with my black. I am going to come in with, I think I used, did I use Asterisk Orange? Either Asterisk Orange or Shading Orange to outline the yellow. I'm not going to outline it in black. That black will really just be too dark on there. Well, yeah, right, Mary. Hi, Debbie. How are you? That's a fantastic piece. I think you'll sell bunches of them. Yes, isn't it cute? I love this one. Plus, y'all, who doesn't love patriotic stuff? At least, especially down here. I know us Texans, we definitely love our patriotic stuff. I can't speak for the rest of our nation, but I can say a lot of us here in Texas we love red, white, and blue. We love anything patriotic-wise for our country as well as Texas-wise, because, you know, we got Texas pride too. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and let's start outlining. Since I already have it turned, I'll just go ahead and start outlining over here on this outside of everything. And then as I turn it, we'll finish up every other part that's not done yet. So pretty much everything on the truck, I am, there goes that red separating, y'all. I don't know what it is with that shading red, but whenever you try to put anything on top of that shading red, that paint separates. So I need to Windex that, and then it'll go right over top of really, really well. But for whatever reason, it basically needs Windex in between every little thing that you do when you're using shading red. It drives me bonkers, but just seems to be how it goes. Bring this black over here, tie that down. Just turn it, and keep on finishing finishing out that outline. You know, whenever I'm doing this script liner, when I'm first setting that brush down, I don't have much pressure. The longer my stroke gets is when I'm adding more pressure and more pressure. Got a couple little flyaway drips there. All right, let's turn it. Gotta move some of my paint out of the way over here. Try to make sure we keep it in frame. Outlining makes it look so good. Yes, it does. I love outlining. It cleans up all those lines exactly. You know, because if you're coming like and you're new into painting, you might look at that blank whenever I'm first starting alive and go, whoa, that looks kind of funky. That's because I already know that between shading and outlining, I'm going to clean up all those little spots that might look a little, you know, unfinished, or where that paint isn't directly touching the line. And so I've actually had people come over before to my house that, you know, didn't know that I painted yard art or whatever, like, you know, workers that would come over and they're like, they'd look at my stuff that was only base coat and they're like, is that finished? I was like, no, there's so much more to go. And they're like, oh, I thought that's what your finished product looks like. And I was like, no, 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 no. So much more work to do. Y'all, these lines right here are very thin. So I'm almost using no pressure. I'm kind of just loading enough paint in that brush, and it really does stay loaded. But since I'm trying to keep that thin, I do continuously load it because I don't want to use any pressure. When I use pressure, my line gets thicker. This is a very small area, so the no pressure thing means I can keep that line a little thinner. Not always, because sometimes my hand gets away from me, but that is my attempt. There we go. And then now we're just going to kind of finish out all the little spots that we didn't get to earlier. See that? There we go again with that red separating. Y'all take it from me. After you do shading red and it dries, this rag is already wet with some Windex. Just wipe it off with a little, or put a little Windex on a rag and just wipe over top of that shading red. Because like right here on that the top of that firecracker and on my other tail light, the paint is literally just kind of running away and separating, and it does not look good, and it drives me nuts. I think I noticed this about December or January, and so I'm gonna guess that the formula for either our red or our black has, well, our black did change, so maybe that's what it is that formula in there. Whatever's in that formula, it just does, the paint on top of it just does not seem to work near as well as with the old formula. I don't know why. Bring that one up, kind of come down right here. Alright, I'm gonna move this up. Actually, let me make sure all my lines are done up here before I think we're good. Just push it up just a little bit. And we'll just finish out down here. Actually, I kind of need to, I hope y'all don't mind, I'm gonna turn it like this. When you're painting, you've got to make it, you've got to kind of move that piece around to make it easier for you. It's definitely easier if it's closer to me and I'm not having to reach as much out. Then it makes my shoulder hurt really bad whenever I'm having to do a lot of reaching. So I try to just move that piece around and find a kind of a simpler solution. Bring my line across. And straighten it up over there. Very lightly. Just using that paint that's already in my brush, nothing crazy. Oh no! Y'all, I didn't even notice it when I brought that rag over here and I was wiping off that tail light. I hit this leaf. And I got black paint all over the place. Whoopsie. That's okay, we'll touch it up. Add a little bit black back on here, and then now I just need to come in with some medium blue. I don't know, can y'all guys see that right here? Underneath that flower, I accidentally drug that wet paint down when I cleaned it off. All the more better of a reason to, after it's done being shaded, to wait before you outline it. That way you can Windex it, especially if you're using shading red. Now, that medium blue, let me get this bottle out. I'm just gonna put a dab on here. It's the beauty of being a painter, is you can always, always, always touch up. Just wait on it to dry. Layer on the next layer, and there you go. Okay, so our black is done. Only thing we have left to do is add highlights, and we need to outline our stars. I'm trying to think. Let's get our stars done. Might have to hit the blow dryer on these parts where this, well, I think those look okay. Maybe just these up here. Hit it for just a few seconds. I don't want that wet black that's on that corner to get pulled into the yellow. So I'm just gonna kind of hit it just real quick. I think we're good. All right, I'm gonna use some shading orange on here because I got a little bit of blue across this yellow right here. And I think it'll be kind of hard to cover if I were to just use shading yellow as opposed to shading orange. I guess I don't have any shading orange over here. I know I do somewhere, but that's okay. We'll mix some red, orange, if I can find my shading orange. That's not shading orange, y'all. Hold on, let's see. That's shading yellow. One more time, y'all, sorry. I don't know what happened to my cup. I usually have them all right here, but couldn't seem to find it, and this one was across the room. I am working on some, I don't know, those of you that have been following us since the beginning, last year we did a flower, it's like a flower wheelbarrow, and then separate little flowers. And so we're actually re-releasing the wheelbarrow next month, and the same flowers, but they have a stem and leaves on them. They're really cute. And so I had that orange over there working on that just before I went live, and we're doing them all blended. I think you guys are really gonna like the outcome. They're super duper cute. I spilled a little too much water, so I'm just gonna use this rag, kind of dab it up. All right, so now I got that shading orange. I added just a little bit of water to it. You definitely don't want it watery. You just want it kind of thinned out just a little bit. Not a lot. Now these firecrackers, definitely, they have little tiny spaces in between here. So again, I'm very light hand, no pressure. It can be very easy to kind of overpower these guys. which I definitely don't want to do. I want you to be able to see that light yellow in the middle. Then I want you to see the shading, and then I want you to see the outline. I think that's part of what makes it look so good. What do you guys think of the gray background? Do y'all like gray, or do you think it looks better as white? The only reason I even tried the gray is to really make the white stand out a little bit more on like the flag and our firecrackers. There we go. So we got that shading range on those two, and we'll just kind of finish out the stars same exact way. Still using that number 4 Royal Gold script liner. Y'all, I just love this pattern. It's so cute. It does take a little bit of work. It's definitely a pattern that has obviously a lot going on with it. And so I actually had somebody ask me, they had never painted yard art before, and she said, oh, I really like that truck. You know, do you think I can do that truck? I said, if you're a first time beginner, this is probably not the pattern for you. Just because, especially when you're starting out in the beginning, if you go to try to conquer something that's very detailed, it can be, you know, frustrating and overwhelming. And the last thing I want somebody to do is to quit before they ever get started. So if somebody's new, I do tell them, stick with something a little simpler and kind of just get the gist of, you know, how the painting works, how the style of what we're doing, how your exterior paint as opposed to craft paint, your paint brushes, all that good stuff. And so if you're brand new, I would say don't start with this one as your first. I don't want you to quit before you get started. So now I got a little bit of blue that's kind of popping up right here. So what I'm doing is I'm gonna just load a lot of paint right here, and I'm just gonna make this line a little thicker. Just kind of hope that that dries and you can't see that blue anymore. Carla says she likes the gray. Good, thank you, Carla. I appreciate the feedback. I like the gray too. I think it looks good. All right, y'all, wash out that brush. Now let's get some highlights on here, and this guy will be done. All right, switch over and grab my white. I'm still using that same brush. I know I have to add water to this white because I just put fresh paint in this one earlier. I know I showed you guys that black and how much water I add to my black. I add even more to my white. That's just me personally. That's just how I like it. But if you're somebody that's struggling with it, I would definitely tell you to give it a try with some water. And don't be scared to use it. All right, now I'm just gonna kind of come in here. Oopsie, came across there a little bit. That's okay. We're just gonna kind of turn it around. There's some more of this stuff. This piece is so big, y'all. Now in here, I'm just gonna, it's like I'm loading that brush and offloading. You don't want very much paint in here. You want to be able to get some real thin lines. Nothing too crazy. Very, very thin. Same thing in here. Just very gently. I'm kind of like starting in the middle and just pulling that brush out and around. Does not have to be perfect. There's something about highlights that I just absolutely love. To me, that's what really starts to bring your piece together. I'm gonna turn it. Got a little bit of shading yellow down here on my wheel. Whoopsie. sure you guys can still see. Okay, couple more here. That one was not the straightest line, but that's okay. Doesn't have to be perfect, y'all. Now, down here, only thing I got left to do, yeah, I think I'm good on everything else, is I'm gonna do some little squiggly kind of lines on my tire, but I found that the length of my script liner, it's too long, like my bristles are too long, and I prefer a round-tipped, smaller brush. This one might be too small, but we're gonna see. And I actually don't use watered down paint, so I actually have kind of a glob right here on my lid that I'm using. And this one is a number 2 round tip brush. Y'all look how small those bristles are. They're not very long. And then when I'm doing tires, I kind of just, it's all eyeball. It's definitely not perfect. I kind of just start in the middle and just kind of go back and forth. It is not perfect by any means. They're not spaced the same amount away from each other. They're not all the same exact, you know, it doesn't look as uniform as I typically like, but that's okay. I don't think it has to be perfect. Debbie says, what makes you decide the length? Debbie, whenever it comes to being able to do these turns quickly, for me, the length of my script liner, let me show you, that's a great question. I want to show you this. Now this script liner's, it's old, don't pay attention to it, but you notice the length difference? For me, if I'm trying to do curves like this, these bristles will kind of go out like that and almost end up just kind of doing it like a semicircle blob. So I prefer a brush with just a shorter bristles. These bristles are about a ½ inch long. These bristles are, I'd say, at least an inch, if not maybe an inch and a quarter. So that's just me personally, that's what I found to work a little bit better on the tires, which that one does not look that great, but it happens. So same thing over here. I'm going to start right here in the middle and just bring that brush all the way till I get to the bottom. Just kind of go side to side, side to side. Some days this turns out cuter than other days. I definitely am not liking the way that this looks, but my sample came out a lot cuter. The joys of painting. That's just kind of how it goes. All right, y'all. Let me turn her around because this one's a big one. There is our finished product. What do you guys think? Y'all like it? Y'all think you could do it? Now on these tires down here, you know, it looks a lot more, they're a little dusty, got some dog hair on them. These look to me like the pattern on the tires look a lot more uniform. So y'all, I was just painting a little bit better that day. Some days my brush works with me, other days it doesn't. But yeah, I literally used the same brush I did on this one, on these tires, and for whatever reason, these look better than the ones I just got done doing. Oh well, no worries, that's just how it goes sometimes. Super cute, super fun. I absolutely love this one. Debbie says that makes sense. Yes, yes, and that's a great question. I'm glad you asked, because sometimes I just forget to explain stuff like that. All right, y'all, I started with 1 coat of white. Really, I should have done 2 coats, but I only did 1, so I did have to kind of actually come in with some white. So you could do 2 coats, and I did that with a roller. If you are using a mop brush, you could probably get away with 1, but I used a roller. So I started with my white. On my base of my truck, I used medium blue. Background is gray. Stars and firecracker tips are light yellow. Obviously we got red. And then here on my firecracker and my flag, I used brilliant blue for that blue. And then my flowers, we have purple and sky blue. And then whenever it came to shading, on medium blue, I used brilliant blue. On brilliant blue, I used navy blue to shade. On red, I used shading red. Lime green on my leaves, I used Christmas green. On light purple, I use dark purple. On my sky blue, I use teal. I think I told you light yellow, I use shading yellow. And then on my gray, we don't have a darker shading gray. Just take your regular gray and add a couple drops of black and create a darker gray. And then obviously we outlined in black with the exception of our stars and firecracker tops. Those are outlined in shading orange. I love that shading orange on there, that kind of trio of the yellows. I just absolutely love those three colors together. So that is all I have for you guys today. Anybody who's interested in this blanket is in store. They are in stock. There is a link at the top. And I thank you guys so much for being here. I know next week we are going to be doing the Eagle Totem Pole. I will be back next week with this one. And now that I'm looking at it, I think we need to add some eyelashes to our eagle. But yeah, we'll be doing this one next week, and I think the Welcome Windmill. I think those are my two that I have left for the month of May. So I think next week we'll do the eagle, and then the following we will do the Welcome Windmill. So thank you guys, everybody, for being here. Y'all go head over to Yard or Us, our regular Facebook page for the store, just regular Yard or Us, and Mary's going to be doing a live on there, painting an interchangeable truck for a door hanger that we are doing a paint party with on June 19th. Hope you guys can hop over there and hang out. And until next time, you guys enjoy painting, post photos, let us know if you have any questions, and we will see everybody soon. Bye, y'all.